So let us see how Tolstoy or Leo Tolstoy view art. Okay, so moving on. So I will be showing here the different forms of arts. So this one is a very beautiful art by Vincent van Gogh. So for others might see it something na weird because if you're just going to look at the movements of the colors, the combination of colors, it's something weird. Okay, so it is View of Arles, orchard in bloom with poplars, so which was painted by Vincent van Gogh in 1890. Another one, fan kasi ako ni Vincent van Gogh. Pasensya na, may pagka-bias ako kay Vincent van Gogh. Okay, so it's a wet field with crows. Again, you can really see the movement of the colors, the different colors, the different strokes that which were Van Gogh is known of. Pag nakita lang natin yung strokes, alam na natin agad na, ay, it's Van Gogh. 'Di ba? So, ang interpretation nila rito is because it has something to do with psychological issues that was confronting um, Vincent van Gogh. Parang yung halimbawa, pag nalilito ka na sa buhay mo, litong-lito ka na sa mga naiisip mo, damdamin mo, you just let the brush paint on the canvas. So, kumbaga, it symbolizes yung kaguluhan ng damdamin, kaguluhan ng pag-iisip ni Van Gogh. Yun yung mga interpretations nila sa painting. So, for me, as someone, sabi nga ni art appreciation ni Nilin, art is to appreciate it. And this is how I, as someone looking at this form of art, appreciate it. Okay? Another one. Kita nyo yan? What can you say about this art? So, it was an art by Johann Theodor Bargeld. So tell me your thoughts about this art. Anything na gusto niyo sabihin about this art? Okay, just write your responses. It's a typical vertical misrepresentation as a depiction of the Dada Bargold. Sculpture. What else? If it is a sculpture, how do you interpret the photo? It's a in general, it's a photo montage. It's a montage of a guy and a sculptor, of a photo of a sculptor, montage. Pag sinabi nating montage, pinagpatong-patong ng mga photos. It's montage. It's duality of man. Yeah. Duality of man. Human figure. Okay? A torso of a woman with the face of a man. If it's a torso of a woman with the face of a man, what does it mean? You're getting there, Cree. Expound. Okay? Anyone? Kanya-kanya naman tong interpretation eh. Homosexuality, pwede. It implies homosexuality. Pwede. Kanya-kanya interpretation yan. Yes, pwede. Incompleteness of a man. Of a person. Incompleteness of a person. Okay, so see, we do have a lot of ways to interpret an art. Dagdag lang natin just to give you idea. Sabi dyan, it is a depiction of the Dada Bargeld. Okay, Dada. Medyo, pag sinabi kasi nating Dada, sa Dadaism, Dadaism, kung na-encounter nyo na yung term na Dadaism, Ah, ito yung form of art. I forgot the exact year, but it's a form of art. It's a form of art movement during that time that has something to do with if they would like to protest, as to show their protest against someone or against a group. Ang tawag this is Dadaism. Ginagamit nila yung art as a form of protest to the government, to the politics, or even in all aspects of society na gusto nilang tuligsain. Okay, tawag natin Dadaism. Imperfect person. Okay. So see, we do have a lot of ways to look at art. Another one. Okay. So it is it's far different from the others. It's far different from the others. It's rectangles arranged according to the laws of chance. It was a collage that was made way back 1917. Thank you, Russell. Early 20th century. Yan. Tingnan nyo yung anong yan. Yung another image that we see. Isa lang tanong ko sa inyo. Do you find it pretty? Do you find it beautiful? Do you like it? Yun lang tanong ko sa inyo and why? Do you like that painting? Um, medyo ano lang yung color sa ano nyo, but there is a dark blue. The squares are dark blue, and then we have the parang grayish white, and the background is it's a blue, light blue. Okay, so looking at that image of squares, do you find it beautiful and why? Okay, just key in your answers. Maganda ba yan para sa inyo? Sabi nga natin, it's an art appreciation of art. Maganda ba yan para sa inyo? Sabi nga natin, it's an art appreciation of art. Okay, no one is responding kung maganda ba yan or ano or what. But this is actually an abstract painting wherein if we're just looking at it, it's only just a simple paintings, but we do not exactly what's the intention of of the painter for doing this kind of painting. Sabi nga ni Kring, it is not appealing to the eye but may mean a different of perspective, maybe difference in societal status. Yes, pwede. The societal differences. Okay. Ako actually until now, the first time I saw this painting, sabi ko parang ang ganda niya lang ilagay sa as an accent sa isang bahay as a design. I only just look at it as something na for aesthetic purpose. Parang maganda lang siyang ilagay sa bahay na display. Yun lang yung nakikita ko, but I do not see what King see na something to do with the social status. Sabi ni Melissa, not really. Maybe because I can't really understand its message. Yes, they're simply yet creative and unique. That makes beautiful. I like the color scheme, very pleasing to the eye. Imagine, aesthetic side, no? Maganda talaga siya. Sa aesthetic side, ako nakikita ko siya na, I could imagine it placing, um, sa dining area, ilalagay mo siya doon, tapos, ang background mo, plain white lang. Yung bahay mo. Tapos, ilalagay mo lang siya just to give accent doon sa bahay. So, yun yung nakikita ko sa akin for aesthetic purpose. While others, do not appreciate it kasi nga, parang, we cannot understand the message. Hindi namin naintindihan yung message. That's why I don't like it. Yung iba, I like it because of the color scheme. So, see? Now, I would like you to see this. Okay, so I posted it in my Facebook. Eh. So, it was the painting created for me by a friend of mine. So, it was an image based on my face. Yeah, kasi pumunta kami dati sa Baguio. Yun yung ginawa niyang reference. And to think that she knows that I do like studying culture and I'm a culture-oriented person. Hence, I think that's one of the I did not ask her bakit ganyan, but based on my interpretation kung bakit niya ginawa niya, because she knows me well that I do love culture. I am culture-oriented person, and I think that it is the reason that she made use of this as a reference. Kasi nga, yan yung costume ko nung pumunta ako sa Baguio. Okay, so personally, I love it. Kasi for someone na i-paint ka, di ba it's something, it means a lot na, wow, there's someone who exerted effort just to paint you. Di ba? Personally, I really do love it. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Kasi, nag-exert, magkano yung ginastos niya dyan sa canvas pa lang. I think it cost her more or less 2,000, less than 2,000 just for the paint itself. Napaka-expensive na yan at yung canvas din, napakalaki ng canvas na yan. Pag kukumputin mo yan, ang price niya nasa nasa for a cheaper price, that's 2,000 something. Kung ano lang, babayaran mo lang yung is the cost. So, ako, gusto ko siya kasi nga, personally, it's for me. Okay? But for others, I don't know. How much they have appreciated it. Okay? So, kanya-kanya kasi tayong taste dyan. Okay? Now, this is my turn. I'm also a frustrated artist. Okay? Pag wala lang akong magawa. So, I painted this. Ang tawag ko sa kanya is Young and Free. I don't know what is my reference for this. I can't remember kung bakit ko to din drawing. Basta, I just face the blank canvas. I just paint it in a blank sketchbook. And then, I just draw it. I don't know where the idea came from. I can't forget. I can't remember. Yan. So, ako syempre gusto ko yan kasi ako gumawa niyan. Young and Free ang title ko dyan. Ayan, another one. Stand By Your Man. Dinrawing ko noong 2017. So, kapag kilala nyo ako, kilala nyo yung taong katabi ko dyan. Kung kilala nyo ako, alam nyo kung bakit purple yan. Okay? So, ako, gusto ko yan. I don't know kung sa mga tao makakita niya kung gusto ba nila yan. But personally, it's a way of expressing your feelings. It's a way of expressing your emotions. Kasi by that time talagang kinikilig ako sa kanya dyan. And that is how I express myself as a trying hard artist. Okay? So, Stand By Your Man. Sino nga makakahula niyan, i-comment nyo nga. Kung kilala nyo yung taong yan, hulaan nyo. If you know me well, you know him. Okay, this one. I was moved by this artwork. It's actually a very simple artwork. It was drawn by Kevin. So Kevin has an autism, and that makes it very special. Yung pagkakaroon niya ng autism at ah, gumawa siya ng ganitong drawing, the mere fact na autistic siya, it means a lot, di ba? Okay, so mahilig kasi siya kay Mr. Bean, kaya yan ang dinrawing kay Mr. Bean. Kung ikaw ay isang ina at nakita mo yung anak mo na nag-exert ng effort para lamang makagawa ng ganyang uri ng isang painting, it means a lot for a mother. At kung ikaw ay malambot ang puso para sa mga autistic, you can really feel the appreciation. You can really feel the essence of this painting. Okay? Another one, this one is painted by Kevin. Napaka-simple, di ba? Pero um, Kevin mixes blue and yellow and makes green. Okay? So marunong siya ng color combination that when you mix blue and when you mix yellow, you have green. So nakakatuwa yung ginawa ni Kevin. So nilalagyan niya lagi ng palatandaan. Kung makikita niyo, naglagay siya ng K para sabihin niya, ako yan, si Kevin yan. So anong ibig sabihin nito? Para sa batang ito na may autistic tas nagpi-painting, it is way of expressing himself. It is one way of telling to others that it can also do things what normal people can do. Okay? So it's a way of we as an individual who saw this kind of simple art will make us feel na Kevin is truly a very special person. Tama po kayo tama kayo sa sagot niyo. Yung di yan si yung Hey In Jazz 2017 nga nakilala ko lang si Hey In ngayon lang 2020. Yes, tama si Raz, tama si Paula, tama si Ime. Dahil dyan, may jersey kayo. Charot. Jersey na may number 34 sa likod. Okay. So, why I'm showing you this? Why am I showing you this? Una kasi, I would like you to see the different levels of artistic forms. Diba makita niyo naman si Van Gogh, very technical yung kanyang gawa, yung color, ang ganda ng color scheme. Van Gogh is a known painter. Hanggang sa pinakita natin yung simpleng gawa ng kaibigan ko. Pinainta ko isang budding artist. Tapos pinakita ko yung sarili kong gawa. And then we have the work of Kevin. So encapsulating all this, parang when we talk of art, we do not have the right to say na yan ay pangit dahil yan ay hindi sikat. Yan ay hindi maganda kasi para sa akin, ito dapat ang maganda. If we are in that kind of way of looking at an artworks, we are just telling na we are setting standard. Okay? Ngayon, tanong, ganun ba yung pagtingin din ni Tolstoy? So, let's elaborate. Ano ba yung stand ni Tolstoy pagdating sa art? Kung ang art ay hindi mo dapat ikumpara sa iba pang artworks. Okay? At yung art ay hindi mo dapat just to set a certain standard for us to classify na maganda siya. If we're just going to compare the work of Van Gogh and the work of Kevin, makikita mo yung difference, di ba? Sa color pa lang, sa stroke, alam mo kay Van Gogh, it's perfectly done. It's perfectly made. Kay Kevin, kita mo yung simplicity, pero kita mo yung puso, kita mo yung personality ni Kevin. Bata, kahit stick lang yan, yung drawing niya. But for others who will see it, it means a lot. Okay? Now, let us explore further what is art according to Leo Tolstoy. So, I want you to be reminded of the following quotes. Just to give you idea kung ano ba yung mga views niya. Sabi ni Tolstoy, a real work of art destroys in the consciousness of the receiver the separation between himself and the artist. separation between himself and the artist. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo. Di ba nga sabi ko, sarili kong gawa, syempre, yung sarili kong work, sabi kong maganda para sa akin. Pero kapag tiningnan to ng iba, there is now the separation between himself, between the person looking at it and the artist. Kasi para sa akin, maganda yon. Pero kapag tiningnan to ng iba, sabihin nila, pangit yun. Yun yung sinasabi nating separation between himself and the artist. So, kaya sinasabi dyan, it also, a real work of art destroys in the consciousness of the receiver. Sino yung receiver na yon? Yung mga tumitingin. Sabi niya pa, art is a microscope which the artist fixes of the secrets of his soul and shows to people these secrets which are common to all. Okay? So, microscope. Alam naman natin microscope, di ba? It's a device, it's an instrument that we are using in order for us to see the microscopic object. Ibig sabihin, yung pinakamaliit na object. So, if we do have a very wide perspective of looking at the small things, and that wide perspective that we have is our natural microscopic mind. Now, our natural microscope, yung wide perspective natin, yan yung ating natural microscope na that will serve as our lens in order for us to look at the small details of a certain work of art. Meron tayong nakikita na maganda doon which might not be seen by the other people. Hence, there's always a tendency of differing views, differing opinions, differing appreciation of a certain work of art. Hence, there's always a tendency that one person may like and the other person may dislike this particular work of art. Ganda ng sinabi rito ni Tolstoy na art is not a handicraft. It is the transmission of feelings the artist has experienced. Okay? So, art is a form of expression. Kung ganun niya in-express ni Van Gogh yung kanyang sarili na very parang may motion yung mga strokes niya, kakaiba yung mga strokes niya, parang yung feeling na parang may dizziness, may parang nawiwindang, parang may ganong effect yung kanya eh. So, that's how Van Gogh expresses himself. And for Kevin, yung mga ting-ting na drawing niya, ganun niya pinapakita sa atin yung kanyang feelings na I really like Mr. Bean, gusto ko si Mr. Bean, kit-kit ni Mr. Bean. Ganun niya pinahayag yung kanyang damdamin. Ganun niya pinahayag yung gusto niya sabihin doon sa mga tao na how much he really or truly love or truly like Mr. Bean. Now, those are some sneak peeks. Those things that I mentioned are some of the sneak peeks of how Tolstoy view art. This time, before we move on in dissecting the content of what is art, let us know first who is Leo Tolstoy. Okay, so yes, Ime, it's hindi gawa-gawa lang but yung na-experience talaga nila. Exactly. Okay, so Leo Tolstoy was born on September 9, 1828. He was born at his family's estate sa kanilang lugar sa Yasnaya, Polyana in the Tula province of Russia. He was the youngest of 4 boys. Okay? So, Tolstoy experienced a lot of loss at an early age. Napaka masalimutang naging buhay nito ni Leo Tolstoy. Bata pa lang sila, namatay yung kanyang nanay, yung kanyang tatay. Tapos, since wala na silang guardian, ang nag-alaga sa kanila yung kanyang mga kaanak, yung pinsan. Pagkatapos yung nawala yung kanyang pinsan, aunt naman niya. So, at a very young age, talagang naka-experience si Tolstoy ng a lot of losses. Yung mga mahal niya sa buhay, nawawala. Yung mga kumalinga sa kanya, nawawala. And because of those experiences that he had, that is where Tolstoy got his inspiration. So, kaya he would later idealize his childhood memories in his writing. Kaya makikita nyo talaga dun sa Anna Karenina, yung mga bata na, although mga babae yung kanyang mga subjects doon. Makikita nyo doon yung experiences ng mga batang iniwan, batang nawala ng pamilya, yung loneliness, yung sadness, yung melancholic experiences ng mga batang iyon. So, that is where Tolstoy transcend his inner soul, his experiences in life. In the 1860s, Russian author Leo Tolstoy wrote his first great novel. Yan, na-mention nyo, diba? War and Peace. Okay, so he wrote about War and Peace. And in 1873, his most commendable work is, yung na-mention natin kanina, is the Anna Karenina. And one of his most successful later works was The Death of Ivan Ilyich. I'm not particular with the death of Ivan Ilyich, even with War and Peace. Okay, so I just know the title of War and Peace, but I'm not very much more in depth of the story of War and Peace. But instead of I'm somehow has an idea of what Anna Karenina is, just like what I mentioned, it is one of the notable works of Leo Tolstoy. Well, anyway, so just to give you, the purpose of this is just to give you the information of those greatest works that Leo Tolstoy made. Okay, now, pasok tayo dito sa pinag-uusapan natin, ang what is art. So, it is an essay on art. Leo Tolstoy's What is Art, which was published in 1896, is a treatise concerning the nature and purpose of art, describing how art can express moral values. Okay, so tingnan natin kung baka meron silang pareho na yung punto de vista nila Plato, nila Aristotle, nila Philip Sidney. Tingnan natin kung meron. Okay, so for Tolstoy does not define art in terms of its ability to express form and beauty, but instead defines art in terms of its ability to communicate concepts of morality. So, para kay Tolstoy, it's not only just on the side of aesthetics and how it was made. Pag sinabi natin kasing form, it has something to do with how a certain artwork was made. Halimbawa, magpapaka-technical ka, yung ginamit na stroke, yung ginamit na kulay, yung blending of colors, the shapes used. Yeah, that's what we meant by form. Yung, parang kumbaga sa literature, yung structure, yung sukat, yung tugma, yung bilang, the choice of words, the diction. Ayan, that's what we meant by form. But it's not all about beauty. Parang nga kasing sinasabi niya na looks can be deceiving. It's not just because ang ganda-ganda ng bakit ang ganda, hindi, it's not just because maganda ang ginawa. It's because for Tolstoy, it's the content, it's the message. And that message is what is being communicated by a certain form of art. And that certain form of art must communicate concepts of morality. However, may issue pa rin tayo kasi sa morality, di ba? Napakalaking usapin ng morality because what is moral to you might be immoral to me, and what is immoral to me might be moral to you. And it makes things like appreciating art in a subjective way. So, naging subjective way talaga siya. Kasi nga, the concept of morality, the morality itself, again, can be defined differently depending on how others view it or look at it. Bahis na ito kay Van Gogh. That's one of his famous work, the Starry Night. Gusto ko sa kanya, ang gusto ko sa kanya talaga is napaka-consistent niya sa style. Tapos yung blending ng colors niya, napaka-imaginative. Tapos kitang-kita mo talaga yung psychological issues niya na nararanasan niya, yung pagkakaroon niya ng napakagulong mundo, napakagulong pag-iisip. Kitang-kita mo talaga yung kaguluhan ng pag-iisip niya sa kanyang mga painting. Okay, anyway, for Tolstoy, Aesthetic values are defined by moral values. That's one. Binanggit natin. So, what is beautiful for Tolstoy is the morality. If a certain work of art expresses morality, expresses good things, and that for Tolstoy is beautiful. And that for Tolstoy is the essence of aesthetic. Okay? Kasi 'di ba tayo pag sinabi ng aesthetic, ang tinitingnan agad natin is ano ba sa isang tao, matangos ang ilong, mapilantik ang mata, red lips, beautiful, maganda. That's for us beautiful. Ganyan yung beautiful sa atin eh. Sa painting naman, ang ganda ng kulay, ang ganda ng blend of colors. That's aesthetic for us. Okay? So, but para kay Tolstoy, content. Ano ba yung mensahe? Maganda nga, pero maganda ba yung mensahe? Kapag hindi maganda yung mensahe, kahit napakaganda ng pagkakagawa niyaan, kapag hindi mo naman gusto yung mensahe, hindi yan maganda. Okay? Content-wise, si Tolstoy. Kaya di ba bakit yung drawing ni Kevin, kung gagamitan, magpapaka-critical lang tayo, stricto lang tayo sa style. Sabi, ting-ting lang naman yung drawing ni Kevin, ang pangit naman yan. Yung drawing ko, pangit, di ba? Pero, yung mensahe na gustong iparating doon, that yung young and free, that as an individual, we have to celebrate our liberty to express, to move, diba, young and free. Okay, so kanya-kanya tayong moral judgment, and our moral judgment for Tolstoy is what make an art beautiful, and that is his content, and that is what he meant in his aesthetic theory. Tama si Paula. Nice observation, Paula. Same with Plato when it comes to poetry, morality. Thank you, Paula, for the insight. Okay, so, ano ba yung nilalaman ng what is art? Okay, so, dalawa lang naman yung gustong patumbukin ni Leo Tolstoy dito. Una, what is a work of art? Pangalawa, what is a good work of art? Okay, tuloy yung dalawang premises na gustong patukuyan ni Tolstoy sa isang sining. Okay, so what is a work of art? Teka lang ha. May webinar kasi kami. Magpapanggap lang ako na nakikinig sa kanila. Kasi minomonitor kami. Okay, sabi ni Kuya Lu, the story behind the artwork would signify how the work is significant in itself. Oh, tayo, baka philosophical. Okay, so what is a work of art according to Leo Tolstoy? Diba? That is in GSIS, yung nag-date kami ni Yunbin. GSIS Museum. So, pumunta si Yunbin sa Pilipinas nang wala nakakaalam. So, ako lang sinabihan niya. Okay. So, pag pinag-usapan yung beauty, wag yung tingnan yung sarili ko. Ano ko lang yung pang-distract ko lang sa inyo yung picture namin dyan. But, ang gusto ko lang talaga dyan is for you to see the paintings beside us at our back. Okay, art cannot be defined as an activity which produces beauty. Kung mapapasin naman natin talaga na aside sa akin na beautiful dyan sa sa photo na yan, if you're going to look at the paintings at the back, napakaganda, diba? But if you're going to zoom in on these photos, on these images, makikita natin yung messages. Tanggalin natin yung estilo, yung cubism, tanggalin natin estilo yung pagiging realism. Okay, tanggalin natin yan. Yes, wala tayong pang-distract ko lang kayo yung ko dyan, mukha ko dyan. Pero, looking at those images or looking at those photos behind us, may mga mensahe siya. Halimbawa dito, okay, it's justice. That dapat there is equality of the justice. Dito is enjoying life, music itself. Okay, isang artist kasi, isang collection. Okay? Okay, so again, according to Tolstoy, beauty cannot be defined objectively. Hindi rin ma-object. Kaya nga sabi ko sa inyo, di ba, na the moral judgment itself tell us na it's very subjective. Art appreciation or art interpretation is very subjective. Kaya sinabi ni Tolstoy, beauty cannot be defined objectively. What is beautiful to me might not be beautiful to you. What is not beautiful to me might be beautiful to you. It's very subjective. Now, beauty for Tolstoy is the content, the message that a certain art is expressing. So, and therefore, beauty cannot be used as a criterion to define what is beauty or is not an art. Okay, let's take a note of what Hume said. Beauty is no quality in things themselves. It exists merely in the mind which contemplates them. Sino yung we are the one that is contemplating the beauty of an art. Isa lang gusto sabihin dito ni Hume that beauty is subjective. Diba? Beauty is subjective. Katulad sila ng view ni Tolstoy, yung subjectivity of beauty. Art is a means of communication. Okay? Ano ba yung gustong sabihin sa atin ng isang sining? Okay? So, focus tayo sa message. So, the aim of art is not merely to produce beauty or to provide pleasure. Diba, kinontradict pero paano ba tinitingnan ni very good, David Hume. Okay, ano ba yung pleasure? Diba, define natin yung pleasure dati. Yung pleasure is it's not something to do with the desire, with the sexual desire that we want, diba? Wherein when we talk of pleasure, it has something to do with the satisfaction of our wants. Kung napapasaya ba tayo nito, yung standard ni Aristotle, diba? Napasaya ka, okay, that's pleasure, you attain your pleasure. Naligayahan ka, whatever it is, pangit man yan sa iba, pero naligayahan ka, that's pleasure for you. Okay? Enjoyment or entertainment. Okay? So ano, kung hindi raw ang purpose ng art is to produce beauty and provide pleasure, enjoyment, and entertainment, ano ba talaga ang art? Paulit-ulit na binabanggit ni Tolstoy na art is a means of communication and is an important means of expression of any experience or of any aspect of human condition. But whose experience? It is the experience of the artist himself or herself. Okay? So, halimbawa, sasabihin natin na napaka-disturbing naman ang mga painting ni Van Gogh. It's very disturbing. Parang nakakabahala kapag titingnan mo. Pero, yun yung gustong sabihin ni Van Gogh eh. Yun yung gustong i-communicate sa atin eh. Dahil ba, ang pakiramdam natin kapag tinitingnan natin yung kay Van Gogh, parang pakiramdam natin, parang may hallucination tayo. Parang hindi natin gusto kasi parang it seems like it's very disturbing. No, it's not. Kasi, an artist, according kay Tolstoy, has his own mind. Hence, an artist, if it has his own mind, he has his own way of expressing. Okay? So, kung ano yung ini-express niya, hindi natin pwede questionin yun. Kung ini-express niya sa atin na disturbing na yun, ay wala tayong magagawa. Dahil yung gusto niya eh. Kung gusto ni Kevin, yung drawing ni Kevin na gano'n yung kanya hindi natin pwedeng questionin yun. Kasi yun yung gusto ni Kevin. After all, it's not the aim of the art to produce beauty, to provide pleasure, enjoyment, or entertainment. It is for individual alone. Para lang sa kanya yon. Para tong nagsulat ka lang ng isang tula, Na deadma ka lang kung pangit o maganda, basta express ko lang yung sarili ko. Okay? Okay? Kaya kasi sabi niya, the important means of expression. That's what important. Okay? Communication of feeling is necessary to art. Communication is to connect. In this sense, to connect through art, to connect is to successfully make the audience feels the emotion. Art communicates feeling that unites us with one another. Ito naman yung isa rin sa mga contradicting sa sinabi ni Tolstoy. Kung ang isang art ay kung yun yung gusto niyang sabihin at yun yung gusto niyang express regardless of anong interpretation nyo, pero sabi ni Tolstoy, still there should be a way to make art to connect with the people. Okay? Siguro pwede nating interpret it this way na yung connection na tinutukoy ni Tolstoy rito has not something to do with either you like it or you dislike it. 'Di ba? Yung connection dun, pag hindi mo gusto, hindi mo na gusto, it means you already connected to the art. 'Di ba? Regardless kung yung connection mo ay you like the art or you dislike the art. Okay? So yun yung connection na pwede nating i-interpret doon sa nagustong sabihin ni Tolstoy. Kung halimbawa nyo kay Van Gogh, ang emotion and expression doon ni Van Gogh ay tawag dito ay disturbance of his psyche, of his mind. Yun yung in-express niya doon. And nag-react tayo. The mere fact that we reacted na gusto natin at hindi natin gusto is already a means of communicating feelings. Bakit tayo nag-react ng ganon? Because na kapag nakakonect sa atin yung artwork na yon, na-connect sa atin. Okay? So that's a form of communication. Yung the art itself is communicating to us. Di ba po nakaka-apekto rin yung name ng artist sa pagtingin ng iba sa artwork? Oh yeah. Kapag halimbawa, alam mong ginawa, kaya lang merong doon meron dong, halimbawa sa isang work, kapag ang isang artist ay bihasa na talaga, anything na ginawa niya para sa atin maganda. Totoo nakaka-apekto yun at some point. Pero if we're very critical of the things that this artist do or this artist did, yung ginawa niya, yung kanyang mga artworks, and we will be critical of looking at it, we might say na we have all the rights to say na hindi natin nagustuhan, regardless kung pangalan ng tao ay sikat na o hindi. But what if, sir, it's too complicated to look at? Can it be seen with communication? Magandang tanong ni Louie. Okay, but what if, sir, the art is so complicated to look at? Can it be seen with communication? Alam nyo, siguro sa punto de vista ng punto de vista ng nag-aral ng komunikasyon, no communication is still communication. Okay, so the mere fact na hindi ka nakakonect is already a response to a communication. So pero mamaya meron akong part dyan na discussion sa tanong ni Kuya Lu maya yung paano kapag hindi nakakonect, is it considered as an art? Tingnan natin yung point of view ni Tolstoy. Masasagot yan mamaya rito. Okay, so subcategories of art as a form of communication. Na-mention ko na kanina yung expression and infection. May pinabasa ko sa inyo about expression and infection yung sa book ni Richardson, and this will be tackled here. At dito na papasok yung tanong ni Kuya Lu. Okay, art as a form of expression. Yan. Expression talagang emote kong emote. So, emote mo yung mukha mo dyan. Catriona Gray. Okay, so, hindi ako papakabog kay Kat dyan sa pag-emote-emote na yan. Anyway, art as a form of expression. Okay, Tolstoy defines art as an expression of a feeling or experience in such a way that the audience to whom the art is directed can share that feeling or experience. Hence, expression, the process whereby what is objective in the artist becomes resolved into a form which makes it accessible to others. So, if the, para ito yung binanggit ko kanina about communication, wherein if the artist himself or herself are able to express his or her thoughts and teka lang if the artist was able to express his thoughts and ideas, then and the viewer or the person who's looking at the artwork was able to get the message, then there's already a connection. Okay. The assumption that art is a form of communication is not unique to Tolstoy. Rather, it is one of the more common first steps toward a definition of art. While it does not necessarily explain why works of art are produced, it does offer a reasonable and non-economic explanation of why such works are exhibited, performed, or published. So, ang gusto lang sabihin dito ni Tolstoy is that paulit-ulit is the artist has all the right to express kung ano yung gusto niya sabihin dyan. Kung questionin man natin yon, it's already a way of connecting with the artist. If we weren't able to get it, there's a tendency for us to might misunderstood the meaning of the message that the artist would like to express. Hence, for Tolstoy, it's not considered as a form of art. Kasi para sa kanya, there should always be a connection. Nag-guess yung point? There should always be a connection. Yung connection sa kanya is yung gusto ko at hindi ko gusto. Pero pag hindi mo talaga mag-gets yun, for Tolstoy at some point, that cannot be considered as a form of art. Okay? Certainly, the assumption is neither narrow nor arbitrary, for it includes from consideration as art only those works which have never come to the notice of the public. Okay, so yun yung expression, one of the concepts of the work of art. It has to express, and that expression must be directed towards the audience. If the audience wasn't able to get the message, what I mean of that, did not get the message, hindi siya nag-react, wala siyang pakialam doon or what, subjectively or in general, for Tolstoy, it's an art. By the way, meron kasi si Tolstoy criteria dyan, sabi niya, I don't know if you would agree or would disagree, kapag maraming hindi nakaunawa, hindi siya art. Meron siyang ganun meron siyang sinabi doon sa latter part. Meron siyang ganung criteria. Kapag halimbawa ay marami kayong hindi to gusto at marami kayong hindi nakakaunawa, hindi nakakaunawa sa art na to, hindi yan art. Meron din siya parang statistics. Kaya naunawa ko kung bakit merong mga critic itong kay Tolstoy na view. Medyo kasi may pagkasalungat din yung mga pagtingin niya doon sa usual na pagtingin natin. So, the artist's ability to infect others or the infection theory. May kinalaman ang infection theory sa expression. Halimbawa ay pag sinabi ng infection, 'di ba, parang yung sasakit, kapag may virus na infect ka lang virus, parang ganun yung effect. How much does the art affect you? Okay? Yun yung tinatawag ng infection theory. Gaano ito naka-apekto sa'yo? Yun yung ibig sabihin ng infection theory. If only the spectators or auditors are infected by the feelings which the author has felt, it is art. Okay? So, kapag naramdaman ng spectators or ng audience, yung auditors dito yung mga critic. If all of the spectators are infected with the feelings with the author has felt, it is art. Okay? Kapag pareho raw ng naramdaman, yung artist at saka yung tumitingin sa artwork, that is considered as an art. Ibig sabihin, highly infectious yung isang artwork. Kasi nagets mo, nakuha mo agad yung mensahe niya. Now, sabi ni Tolstoy, to evoke in oneself a feeling one has once experienced, and having evoked it in oneself, then by means of movements, lines, colors, sounds, or forms expressed in words, so to transmit that feeling that others may experience the same feeling, this is the activity of art. Ito yung binanggit ko kanina, na naramdaman noong mga audience mo, yung gusto mong maramdaman nila, then that is an art. Okay? Art becomes more or less infectious in consequence of three conditions. Okay, sabi niya, in consequence of a greater or lesser peculiarity of the sensation conveyed, in consequence of a greater or lesser clearness of the transmission of the sensation, in consequence of the sincerity of the artist, that is, of the greater or lesser force with which the artist himself experiences the sensation which is conveying. Halimbawa dun sa una, kung the more that a particular peculiarity is expressed by the viewers, when we talk of sensation, di ba, we talk of what is perceived by your senses, yung nakikita mo, naaamin mo, naririnig mo, nalalasahan mo. That's what we meant by sensation. Kapag pag na-sense mo, mas na-sense mo yung peculiarity ng isang artwork, that means that is more infectious. Parang gano'n naman yung logic niya. Kapag mas greater yung clarity ng transmission of the sensation, meaning mas naunawaan mo yung mensahe ng isang artwork, that is more infectious. Kapag hindi mo masyadong na-gets, therefore, less infectious yung artwork. Hence, for Tolstoy, at some point that could be considered as an art form. So depende talaga sa epekto noong artwork bumabase, sabi ni Tolstoy, doon sa pagiging isang artwork. Okay, the more individual the feeling transmitted, the more strongly does it act on the receiver. Again, it's regardless if you dislike it. Kasi, again, pag hindi mo nagustuhan, ibig sabihin, apektuhan ka rin. Although in a negative note, hindi mo nagustuhan, ibig sabihin, naapektuhan ka. Kaya ka hindi mo nagustuhan yung isang artwork eh. The more individual the state of soul into which he is transferred, the more pleasure does the receiver obtain. And therefore, the more readily and strongly does he join in it. So, parang tayo, kapag mas nagustuhan natin, halimbawa, sa isang music, pag the more na na-immerse tayo, kapag isang beses lang nating napakinggan yung isang music, nagustuhan na agad natin, paulit-ulit natin pinapakinggan, pagkatapos, hindi lang yun yung music na pinakinggan natin, pinakinggan pa rin natin yung any song sung by that singer. Yun sinasabi natin na highly infectious, yung greater infection. So, mas nag-i-immerse tayo doon sa isang artwork, mas nagugustuhan natin. Kaya yung tanong ni Eme na, Sir, nakaka-apekto po ba yung artist? Yes. Nakaka-apekto talaga ang artist. Okay, so, minsan kahit hindi na maganda para sa marami, pero ikaw, ay dahil si ano kumanta niyan, gusto ko na. Parang pag nanonood tayo ng pelikula, di ba? Alam mo, sa pelikula, dahil Katniel, at favorite natin ng Katniel, at merong magandang nagawang pelikula ang Katniel, syempre, kahit pangit sa iba, pagpipilit na natin maganda para sa atin, papanoorin pa rin natin. Infectious yon. Ano, negative, we cannot say if it's a negative note or a positive note, but that's how infectious theory can be observed. Diba? Kaya, sabi dyan is, the more individual the feeling transmitted, the strongly does it act on the receiver. Therefore, the more readily and strongly does he or she joins in it. Yun yung infectious theory. Lahat tayo may ganong sensation. Lahat tayo may ganong feelings na kahit hindi na natin, kahit hindi na gusto ng marami yan, yung iba yan, dahil nga favorite natin yun, yung taong gumawa noon, o sige, ayan. Parang mga sa politics, parang DDS, kahit mali na ginagawa ng Duterte, basta DDS ka, ayan. Anything that person do, sorry for this political implication, okay, so gusto pa rin, kahit alam natin, kahit may mali, parang tinatawid natin na tama pa rin. Alam mo yun, that the same feeling of art, yung ganong experience. Totoo yan, kahit pangit tingnan, maganda pa rin. Hello effect. Di ba sir, si Jade? Ah, yeah, si Jadine. Hindi, in fairness to to Nadine and James, unlike, ito yung gusto ko sa dalawa, it's not to be biased of these two, but unlike Katniel and Lizken, Jadine are truly reinventing themselves. They know their craft, they know their art, and they are doing things on their own. Okay? They are exploring. Kaya sila nagpo-produce sila ng sarili nilang music video. Sila gumagawa sila ng mga, that's what an artist is. Yun yung gustong-gusto ko sa kanila. Well, hindi katulad ng Lizken, Katniel. Anong ginagawa nyo? Sige, umarte-arte kayo dyan, but what else can you do? How will you reinvent yourself? Ano, Kuya Lu? Okay, again, kanya-kanyang ano yan. That's a infectious theory. That's how I was infected. That's how I was infected. Yung nangyari sa akin, yung kay JD, that's infectious theory. Not only is the infectiousness a certain sign of art, but the degree of the infection is the only standard of the value of art. Ayan. Kung halimbawa ay you are very much immersed dun sa artworks na yun, na talagang gustong-gusto mo na. Halimbawa, we can consider Wattpad as an art, as a literary art for the others, but for me, medyo hindi. Okay, kanya-kanyang ano yan. Do not infect us, sir. Once sa'yo, ime. Clear to. So, the degree of infection depends on, ito yung nabanggit ko sa inyo kanina, na mayroong ganitong punto de vista si Tolstoy. The infection, the number of person who may be infected. Halimbawa, the more na marami ang infect, the more that we can verify, okay, form of art na yan. Okay, so, nandun pa rin talaga yung perspective na mas marami, mas valid yung findings, yung assumption. Okay? The completeness with which the experience is reproduced in them. Halimbawa ay how does it manifest to you? Yung infection na yun. Halimbawa, na-infect ka na totally ng K-drama na yan. How much have those K-drama have emulated in you? How much have you emulated the Korean in you, the K-drama addict in you? Parang ganun yung the completeness with which the experience is reproduced in them. So, totally, pati buhok mo, binago mo na, yung outfit mo, binago mo na, nag-aaral ka na rin na magsalita ng Koreans, ayun. So, yung degree of infection mo is nandun sa degree of experience mo. The more na na-expose ka doon, the more that you will be infected. The same is true with the art. The more that you are exposed to that kind of art, the more that you will be immersed to it. Kaya nga, if you're going to study the art history in general, may iba-ibang mga forms. Merong realism, may surrealism, may modern realism, may dadaism, okay? May expressionism, lahat ng mga ism na yan. So, kasi nga, iba-iba tayo ng taste. Okay, iba-iba tayong taste. So, hence, we say na the degree of infection, that what is art and which is not art, is very subjective. That depends on the person looking at it. Kung halimbawa, dahil nga hindi mo na-gets yung mensahe, sige, hindi na yung art para sa'yo. That's your own judgment. It's not the judgment of everyone. We cannot conclude which is art and which is not art. This is what I like about what is art of Tolstoy, that it gives us liberty to decide. He is not imposing us na ito dapat, but pinalatagan niya tayo ng pagtingin sa kung ano ba yung sining at hindi sining para sa atin. Bahala kayo. 'Di ba nga merong hindi ko na makuha kasi yung video, meron ako nakitang video clip dun na it's Van Gogh again eh. Yung parang it's a clay, it's actually a comic eh, parang siyang clay na basta lang clay, basta lang basta ganyan niya lang yung clay, tapos tinapon. Tapos 'di ba si Van Gogh is known for cutting his ears kasi nga depressed siya, kinat niya talaga yung ears niya. Tapos ang ginawa dun sa cartoons na yon, pinakita si Van Gogh, tapos yung ears na yun nandun sa may mud clay. Okay? Tapos meron dong line, this is art. This is art. I don't know kung anong ibig sabihin ng art. Pero again, that's subjectivity. Okay, so ayun, bahala. Yung iba nga basta lang in-stroke yung color, 'di ba? Blue, red, basta ganun lang. That is art. Okay? Yung iba basta lang nagsulat ng ng tula. That is art. That depends. It's very subjective. Kaya nga lang talaga babalik pa rin tayo dun sa norms. Ito yung contradicting dito kasi ito yung pwede kang maging critic dito sa theory, sa art. What is art niya, babalik pa rin talaga tayo sa norm ng society na we cannot deny the fact that no matter how much we insist that this particular thing, that this particular judgment of us should be the right judgment, for as long as it contradicts the norm of the society. We are always have this conflict with the norm of the society, the acceptance of the society. If the society does not accept this, therefore it will be difficult for us to infect them. Okay? It's very difficult to infect them. Kaya nga meron tayong mga movement, mga sa history, di ba, may tinatawag yung mga katulad ng halimbawa literary movement. That's their way of infecting people. Talagang we have natin yung term infected. That's their way of making these people to to emulate kung ano yung paniniwala nila. Art does not belong to any particular class of society. Meron kasi tayo tinatawag na canon art, lalo na sa religious art, canon, yung mga canonical kung tawagin natin. So ito yung mga canonical art na ito yung mga parang mga elite class. Halimbawa ay kasi during that time naman talaga, of course during the Renaissance period, even the after the Renaissance period, di ba, usong-uso talaga yung classes ng mga society. Kaya nga 'di ba si Karl Marx, meron siyang capitalism, yung theory ni yung Marxism, 'di ba? The divide, the societal divide. Merong mahirap, may mayaman. Okay, 'di ba, sa literature very rampant yung mga topics about the divide of the society. So art in general meron din ganon. Of course, we cannot deny the idea that only those elite people can purchase an artwork. Only elite people can study music, can study literature, can study arts in general. So merong mga ganong aspeto pa rin na hindi natin na rinreflect ang ating kasaysayan. Okay, magbabasa muna tayo ng mga pinagsasabi nila. Si Picasso po, nagdrawing lang ng pambata, art na, kamahal na. Oo nga. Kasi nga, it's Picasso. Kasi nga, binabayaran mo doon, it's Picasso. Yan. Kaya nga, meron ako mga paintings dito ng mga bata, yung project ni Sir Ben, ng mga dito sa bahay, pinagkukuha ko. Hiningi ko kay Sir Ben. Actually, naka-display dito kasi natutuwa ako, baka mamaya isa sa mga tumitingin sa taas kasi nandun sa taas nakasabit. Kasi baka isa sa mga batang yon maging sikat na artist, 'di ba? Tapos yung kanilang simpleng artwork na ginawa dahil nga may pangalan sila. Baka ang mahal-mahal na pala ng artwork na yun, di ba? Oh, meron akong kopya kahit hindi ganun kaganda. Raphael is one of the example of canonical writer. Sinong Raphael? Marami tayong Raphael. Okay, so art doesn't belong to any particular. Nakikita nyo kami. So, there's no big difference between I and Princess Diana because we are both princess. So, this is actually sa Angono, in front of the municipal hall of Angono. Meron kaming ganyan. Actually, yan, buo pa yung art capital, pero yung bumalik kami dyan, nabawasan ng letra yan. Kinuha, binenta ata ng mga magkakalakal. Kaya nabungi yan dati, yung art capital na yan. Nabawasan ng letra. Anyway, so dito sa picture na to, ako yung poor. Dito, siya yung rich. Yan. So, to limit the subject matter of art to the experiences of a particular class of society is to deny that art can be important for all of the society. So, sabi ni Tolstoy, dapat walang separation. So, any form of art can be also attributed, pwede kahit mahirap o mayaman ka, they can still be exposed to art. Kasi nga, di ba, may kita mo talaga doon yung pagiging, yung konsepto ng Marxism na dahil wala kang pera, di wala kang kaya ng mag-aral ng art. Dahil wala kang pera, di ka nakakapanood ng mga teatro. Dahil wala kang pera, hindi ka nakakabili ng mga paintings. So, from that experience alone, we can say that there's really a societal divide of the rich and the poor. Pero idealistic si Tolstoy. I think that's the term. Idealistic pa rin si Tolstoy na regardless of your power, regardless of your situation in life, you have the right to experience art. Yun naman yung gusto niya eh. Okay, so modern definitions of art have excluded moral criteria from definitions of art because they have attempted to find a general definition that excures the existing canon of art. Okay? So, pero di ba nga sabi ni Tolstoy that beautiful values, aesthetic value, a moral value reflect aesthetic value. Ibig sabihin, kung maganda yung mensahe ng isang artwork, that's what makes it beautiful. So, parang yung sinabi lang ng ano bang boy group to, yung you don't know you're beautiful and that's what makes you beautiful. Diba? Anong boy band yun? Pakisabi nga. Sabi niya, you don't know you're beautiful and that's what makes you beautiful. So, parang ganun yung konsepto ni Tolstoy din. Art theory disparages art of the people in favor of elite or genteel art. So, yung mga yung mga art movement na yan, so, lagi na sinasabi nga, it's an elite art. Okay? Sa bagay nga, ang mahal nga ng isang painting, mag-aral ka lang ng pagpipinta, mahal talaga. So, kaya sinasabi siguro nila that art is an elite form, which in fact not. Okay? For Tolstoy. Ay, tama. One Direction. mga pagpatol din kayo sa mga hanash ko eh. So, we only have 11 viewers. Wala na sila. Sa bagay, it is saved naman. So, Tolstoy criticizes the belief that art is only relevant. Ito malino sinasabi niya, di ba? Tolstoy criticizes that the belief that art is only relevant to a particular class of society, the rich, saying that this is a misconception which can lead to obscurity and decadence in art. So, malino sinasabi niya dyan na, no, it's not only just for the rich, para to sa lahat. Do you find Tolstoy's view idealistic the same as I view it? May pagka-idealistic, tama ba ako? So, I want to know your view. It's not to infect you. Okay. The art of an elite class is merely pseudo art or counterfeit art, while genuinely important art is the real art. Taray ni Tolstoy na sinabi niya. Real art must satisfy the legitimate function of art. We should accept the fact that a lot of canonical art does not satisfy this function, and so is not real art. Ang taray niya rito, sinabi niya, no? Yung mga canonical art is not real art. Kasi nga, pang mga elite. Okay, so, ang real art para sa kanya, that may mga legitimate function. Ano yung legitimate function? Yung genuinely important na yan. Yung legitimate function. Yun yung mensahe. Yun yung the moral value of the art. Yun yung legitimate function of art para kay Tolstoy. Kaya sabi niya, kapag isang artwork ay kaya parang pag halimbawa ako yung mapera, sabi ko, i-paint mo nga ako ng ganito. This is a commissioned art. Ito yung gusto kong mangyari. Ito yung gusto kong gawin. Gusto ko ganito yung kulay, gusto ko ganyan. So, minumuestrahan mo yung artist. Is that an art? May I ask your opinion? Dalawa na question ko. Ayan. Okay. Art can come from different corners of the society, but the artwork itself can only belong to a rich few. Hope we are part of the rich few. Okay, then naalala ko tuloy yung yung art of for the rich sa poor na ginagawa ni Leonardo. Yeah, oo, magandang implication yun, Ras. Mm-mm. So, ayun nga, just like what I mentioned sa inyo, yung uh, if you're an artist, will you let someone to dictate you in what to do and what not to do? Will you let someone to tell you na ito yung gusto ko mangyari sa akin, i-paint mo yan, gawin mo to, gusto yung gusto ko, the things that I don't like. And then kapag natapos yung work, ayoko yung ganyang kulay, pakibago yung work, pakibago yung kulay, gusto ko palitan mo ng ano. It happens actually sa mga commissioned artwork. Okay, I just would like to share to you an experience. It was reiterated to us when I was in college. So way back in college kasi we do have our uh, subject na may kinalaman sa art, sa writing for the Untitled is writing for the arts, yung subject namin sa college. So we do write-ups about arts. Para siyang art criticism, pero it's not solely art criticism, but it is uh, in journalism parlance, we do make reports about the arts itself. So, yung teacher namin doon, si Sir Richard Gapi, uh, he is part of Neo Angono Arts Collective, wherein their painters were commissioned by anong pangalan? Basta it's an organization. It's an organization na sila yung gagawa ng mural doon sa organization na yon. So, nagkaroon ng mga agreement na ganito dapat ang gagawin. So, nagkasundo yung mga artists at yung nag-commission. It's a commissioned work. Pero nakalagay sa kasunduan that there should not be an alteration of what the artist want. So, dapat walang alteration na mangyayari sa ginawa ng mga artist ng Angono. Because for them, that is their expression. That's how they look at it. Despite that it is a commissioned work, na malinaw na pag-usapan na dapat kung ano yung gusto ng mga artists, yun dapat. Okay? So, the artist, there are a group of artists who did that commissioned work. Ang nangyari, na-paint na nila. Pagkatapos nila ma-paint, biglang may nangyaring alterations doon sa mural. So, inisa-isa sa amin ng prof namin yung alterations. Pinakita niya sa amin yung original, ito yung nabago, ito yung pinakitaan, ito yung nabago. So, yung may mga change, hindi naman to, pag titingnan mo at a glance, hindi mo agad makikita yung tiny details of the alterations. Pero, pag tiningnan mo, ng maigi, you can see the alterations. Kaya inisa-isa sa amin ng prof namin yung alterations doon sa painting na yun. So sabi niya, ang depensa ng organization na nag ano nun is this is a commissioned work. We have all the rights to alter what we would like to alter. Pero malinaw na sa kasunduan na there should not be an alterations at all. Okay? So, may implication ito dun sa dinidiscuss natin na um, the expressions of the artist is should be regarded. It's very important. Okay? So, nagkaroon ng kaso doon eh. I don't know kung ano yung naging decision. Pero, nagkaroon ng copyright infringement. Nagkaroon ng infringement eh. Kasi, may alterations kang ginawa doon sa isang commissioned work na mali naman yung kasunduan. Okay? It's still an art as long as it encompasses the experiences of whether the artist or the other person. Thank you, Ime, for that insight. So, yun yung art para kay Tolstoy. Balikan natin. Art is a form of expression. Balikan natin babalikan ko lang. Art cannot be defined as an activity which produces beauty. That's number 1. Art is a means of communication. As a form of communication, it has a function to express and a function to infect us. Express, it has something to do with the artist, the way the artist express himself. Infection, it has something to do with us, the audience, how the expression of the artist infect us. Is it are we highly infected or less infected? Okay. So that's what we mean by an art. And according to Tolstoy, yung pangatlo, art does not belong to any particular class of society. Anyone can experience art. Kaya nga sabi ni Eme, it is an art as long as it encompassing the experience of whether the artist or the other person. So everyone should has the right to experience art. Now, what is a good work of art? Kung yun yung art for Tolstoy, what is a good work of art? According to Tolstoy, good art is intelligible and comprehensible. Bad art is unintelligible and incomprehensible. 'Di ba? Lakas makabaliktaran lang. Kaya ko lang binaliktad para for the purpose of emphasis. So, intelligible, ibig sabihin may sense. Merong moral values. Merong magandang mensahe. Comprehensible, nauunawaan, nagigets natin. Okay? Nakakapag-connect sa atin. So, the more that art restricts itself to a particular audience, the more obscure and incomprehensible it becomes to people outside that particular audience. So, bagaman sinasabi ni Tolstoy na it's the expression of the artist that matters, hindi niya pa rin sineset aside yung comprehensibility ng isang artworks na dapat ay at some point mayroon pa rin mensaheng makukuha at makuha yung mensaheng iyon. Hence, good art should not be confusing and incomprehensible to most people. Hindi niya pa rin naman sineset aside yung idea na to. A good art is good if it is judged to be good by the majority of people. Ito yung binanggit ko kanina sa inyo, di ba, na may statistics dapat. So, kung marami ang nagkakagusto sa art na to, then it is a good form of art. Indeed, he claims that a great work of art is only great if it can be understood by everyone. So, meron din siyang ganong point of view. So, good art has a form and content which are unity with the ideas and feelings which it evokes or represents. Bad art is shallow, repetitious, crude, clumsy, contrived, melodramatic, pretentious, or banal. Banal is parang pangit yung presentation. According to Tolstoy, the most important quality of any work of art is its sincerity. Kasi nga, moral value ang tinitingnan niya. Any true work of art expresses original thoughts and feelings. The highest feelings which art may express are related to religious perception. So, hindi pa rin natin maiaalis yung moral values talaga yung isa sa mga pinupunto ni, ni Leo Tolstoy. So again, ito yung nabanggit ko kanina, tinanong ko sa inyo kanina, if a certain, what is the view of Tolstoy when we talk of a certain work of art that is commissioned, na ito dapat ang gawin mo, ganyan ang gawin mo. So ito yung sabi ni Tolstoy dyan. Professionalism causes a lack of sincerity in the artist and argues that if an artist must earn a living by producing art, then the art which is produced is more likely to be false and insincere. So if it's a commissioned work, according kay Tolstoy, um, the work itself is insincere unless otherwise pwede nating i-situate situate um, yung idea na you were asked to draw things, binigyan ka lang ng general idea kung anong gusto mo, and then the artist or the one who commissioned you let you do the things you would like to do with the artwork. Then I think perhaps that would not affect the sincerity of the artist, kasi ang naniniwala kasi si Tolstoy na no artist should be dictated, kasi nga ang kanyang pinakang uugatan ng kanyang filosofiya sa sining ay yung artist's own expression. So kapag sinabihan mo ang isang artist na ganito ang gawin mo, nadideviate ngayon yung konsepto ng expression. Kumbaga sa expressionism, nade-deviate yung ganong purpose, nade-defeat yung ganong purpose na yung expressions na gusto sana ng artist ay na-restrict siya kasi nga someone commissioned him or her na gawin mo ito. So that is a conflict that might might be a problem among the artist. Okay? So mga commercially made artworks. And so for Tolstoy, it's art. This form of art is false and insincere. So Tolstoy also claims that interpretation or criticism of art is irrelevant and unnecessary because any good work of art is able to express thoughts and feelings which can be clearly understood by most people. So so hindi naman niya binibigyan tayo ng hindi naman niya tayo pinipigilan to interpret and to give criticism of art. However, there are some instances wherein tayo, di ba, minsan we overread a particular artwork, and since we are affected by the standard or by the norm of the society in terms of which is art and which is not art, hence somehow our criticism might be affected. So para kaya sinasabi ni Tolstoy na interpretation or criticism is irrelevant and unnecessary. Kasi who are we to question what the artist expressed? Okay? So if it does not necessarily mean that uh, kapag yun yung in-express ng artist, perfect na. Ang kay Tolstoy lang, ang gusto niya sabihin dyan is um, that is how the artist express himself or herself. We have to respect him or her. Yun lang naman yung gustong sabihin niya dyan. Na kaya niya nasabing irrelevant or somehow unnecessary ang interpretation or criticism. After all, sa expressionism, it's still what the artist expressed that matters. Yet, uh, our own interpretation and our own criticism did not matter at all. It's still the expression of the artist that matters most. Kaya nga meron siyang sinasabi na art should not be taught. Okay, wag mo ituro ang art. Pero meron tayong subject na fine arts sana. So sabi niya, wag mo ituro ang art. 'wag mo ituro kung papaano gawin 'yan, paano 'wag mo ituro kasi nade-defeat na naman yung purpose ng expressionism. Hayaan mong ikaw mismo ay mag-explore sa sarili mo, ikaw mismo ay gumawa ng sarili mong style. Yun yung para kay Tolstoy. Kaya, ito yung kanyang paniniwala kasi, um, ikaw kapag tinuruan mo yung isang artist na dapat ganito yung stroke, na dapat ganito yung kulay, parang yung authenticity ng artist nawawala. If you have the potential to become artist, for you to become authentic, practice your own core, uh, express your own capabilities, express your own ideas, and just let your own soul do the rest. Parang ikaw mismo ang mag-express sa sarili mo without others telling you on what to do. So, yung kasi yung ano eh, yun yung purpose ng expressionism eh. Okay? Yun yung essence ng expressionism. Na ikaw mismong artist ka, ikaw lang mag-express nung kung anong gusto mong mangyari doon sa artworks mo. And no one should dictate you on what to do and what should not do. Okay? So, I think that's the thing now, that's the concern sa mga artist school. Okay? So I'm not particular kung how they teach in art school, but the fundamentals, let's say for instance, if we're pertaining to painting, um, we don't know kung ano yung fundamentals na tinuturo. So are they very strict with the form, or are they strict with the standard, yung tamang stroke, yung tamang ano, or they just let the students to learn on their own. Kasi for Tolstoy, if you teach someone to do the art, na ito dapat ang gawin mo, ganyan ang gawin mo sa iyong artwork, the authenticity of the artistry defeated, and the authenticity of the expression of the artist is also affected. Ito ay nasabi ko na. So yun, Tolstoy does not believe that art can be taught or that instruction in the practice of art can help people to communicate their thoughts and feelings more sincerely. Siguro pa pwedeng ang gawin is to give inspiration to the artist. Hindi mo i-insist kung ano yung gusto mo. If you are someone teaching arts, let's say tulad sa atin, if we are teaching poetry, we will not be insisting na ganito dapat, ganyan dapat sa isang artworks. So, let the let the person express. Of course, ito ay ibang-iba sa mga technical writing sa iba ang technical writing dito sa creative writing. So, kung halimbawa sa writing pinag-uusapan natin, of course sa technical writing, kaya nga technical writing, it has to be technical. Susundin talaga natin yung standard na form, susundin talaga. Pero if it's creative writing, just let the artist express himself or herself. Or kung yan man ay sa painting, hayaan mo siya. Kung ikaw ay educator, kung ikaw ay teacher nagtuturo ng arts, literary arts, creative writing, or sa painting, sa fine arts, etc., and related in other forms of arts, maybe the what a teacher can do is to just give an inspiration, 'di ba? Inspiration para makuha ng bata o makuha ng estudyante yung kung ano ba yung estilo na gusto niya. Okay? So he argues that to teach art is to destroy its spontaneity. Okay? To teach art is to destroy the individuality of the art. This is sinasabi ko sa inyo na yung authenticity ng ng artist mismo na suffice, na de-defeat, nawawala. Any attempt to teach art leads to an attempt to imitate other works of art. Okay, kaya yung authenticity, yung individuality ng artist nawawala. Kasi nga, kung ako yung teacher, tinuturuan kita, at ito yung sinasabi ko yung ganyan na gawin, ganyan mo. So, parang ang nangyayari, sa theory of imitation, ako na yung ini-imitate mo na ako. So, ayaw ni Plato noon. Ayaw ni Plato nung imitation ng imitation, yung patong-patong ng imitation. Kasi the more imitation, the more na nagkakaroon ng the more na nawawala yung authenticity. Ayun ni Plato nun. So, so if it's an authentic art, it has to be the artist himself will be the one to explore, will be the one to express. Tolstoy concept of universal art affirms that art is relevant to everyone. Art is relevant to every aspect of the human condition. Hence, he would like to mention that art should be something that can be relatable. Although you're expressing ideas, things like making people to relate on your work should also matter. So if you aim for universal art, make your art as something that can be relatable to others. Okay? Art is universal to express thoughts and feelings which can be experienced by every human being. Um, Tolstoy believes that universal art must conform to standards that are not strictly aesthetic but moral and social. Kung merong standard na sineset si Tolstoy, ito yung moral standard and social standard. Kasi nga 'di ba, he is after with moral values and social he is after with the values. He is after with the message, he is after with the content. Okay? So kung may standard man, moral standard tsaka social standard ang dapat. Hindi aesthetic standard. Kasi pag sinabi nating aesthetic standard, ito na yung dinidiktahan mo na siya anong tamang kulay. Kung sa painting man, anong tamang kulay, anong tamang stroke. Kung sa literature man yan, anong tamang bilang, anong tamang sukat, anong tamang salita, etc. 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 Yun yung aesthetic purpose na again, nadidefeat yung purpose of art which is to express moral values. Okay, this aesthetic theory makes it necessary to consider the question of whether aesthetic values are the same as moral and social value. Okay, di ba una binanggit natin, sabi ni Tolstoy na moral value is an aesthetic value. So yes, um, aesthetic theory has something to do with the beauty of the message, the beauty of the content. If the beauty of if the beauty if the content is beautiful, if the content when say the content is beautiful, it means that the content of an artwork is something that contains moral values, and that's what makes it an aesthetic one. So yun yung kanyang standard of aesthetic. Okay, so Tolstoy excludes many forms of art from what he considers to be good art because he believes that good art must communicate some form of religious experience. Na-mention ko na yan kanina. Tolstoy argues that good art must be religious art. Oh, kung gusto mo talaga ng moral values, edi religious art ka na. He assumes that religious art must conform to his own religious standpoint and that his personal form of Christianity is the only true form of Christianity. Okay, kita-kita mo yung influence ng Renaissance period dito kay Tolstoy. Okay, so that ends my discussion